Cosby. Not all of them, and I'm not victim blaming.
Right.
But can we put into perspective that maybe one or two of these women who are coming out against or have come out against Bill Cosby were of that ilk of, I'm going to sit on that casting couch and I'm going to do what I have to do in order to get on that episode or to get him to get me a record deal or whatever the case may be, right? Can we not think for a moment that or recognize that women do use our seductive and our sultry and our ways to get what we want?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say absolutely, and from what I've been told by close women friends of mine who are feminists, that part of feminism, if you will, or the paradigm or thought process behind it is that if a woman wants to do that, she
has the right to.
Yes, she can.
But then why do we then, if she has the right to do that, and if a man speaks up and says that she does that, why do we then immediately, when she says, oh no, that's not the case, he assaulted me, we immediately take the woman's side? And that's where my thought process really went. Because I was like, you know what? If feminism is about being equal and equality, why can't we have equal accountability or equal cause or blame between both folks?
Patriarchy.
And yes, I understand the patriarchy. The patriarchy
it's a double-edged sword.
It's such a double-edged sword.
Because most likely a man did do it.
Most likely a man did do it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
And we've been conditioned for centuries to know that men rule the world and that women, they take what they want and women are subservient and we are inferior and we don't have a voice and so we don't say these things out loud.
Right.
And so it almost seems like in a way we don't hold women accountable for these things because systemically and historically we've always had our voices shut out.
Right.
So this is like this is our jab to y'all, the gotcha to you guys. Like, we're not gonna call out these women for doing their dumb shit because for years you guys have been doing your dumb shit and now it's our time to call you out for your dumb shit. But it always brings me back to things like the Aziz Ansari.
Oh my God! Yes, I remember that.
Right,
homegirl wrote that whole article.
A woman knew what she was doing, and I'm sorry if anyone actually believes that this woman. I'm not gonna negate her feelings. She could feel the way she felt in the time that she felt. But if anyone is gonna sit here and not think that this woman did not intentionally seek out something from Aziz, you must be stupid. Amen. And the reason why I say that is because the beginning of that article starts with this woman saying that she noted that Aziz, and I won't forget, she noted Aziz had a specific type of kind of camera.
Yes.
And she went out and got the same camera, had it on her neck at an award show, and was trying to get his attention to show him, look, I have the same camera that you do. Trying to grab his attention through commonality. Then they talked, they exchanged numbers. They go on this date. She got to talk about what she was wearing again to do this whole victim blaming, body shaming thing. I wasn't even wearing anything that was trying to, quote, entice a man into thinking that I wanted to have sex. Okay, fine.
Right.
Unnecessary, but fine.
Well, yeah, right.
But I already knew where the agenda was going with saying that, right? Because, of course, people would have rebutted to her, well, you was looking for it. You was asking for it by wearing booty shorts and a tank top. And so by her saying, I didn't wear anything that anyone could have said was slutty or whatever, I wasn't
She's
asking
stopping
for
the
it.
victim shaming because, again, patriarchy society forces her to do that. But she subverts it by, go ahead.
She goes on to then say, okay, they drink wine, they do this, they eat, they go to, if it was his place. And they start kissing, they start touching. She gives him a blowjob. He goes down on her or whatever. And then as they get naked to have sex, she tells him she doesn't want to do that.
Right. So he stops.
All right. Some time passes. And then they start up again.
Right.
And then she stops. He stops. Then she starts saying like, well, he didn't take my social cues that I didn't want to do this. But you're throwing your ass in his face and giving him a blowjob.
Right. And wasn't there probably like watching Seinfeld?
They were watching Seinfeld on the couch and he asked her like for a hand job or to touch him or some shit like that happened. And then it was like, well, I felt like I had to do it because I was there, so I did it type thing. And I read this. And I remembered wanting to be one of the women to call this woman out. I remember this.
Right.
I remember this. This was during a
but
time.
Why didn't you speak out so openly, Afiya?
Because I knew that women would attack me and call me out for calling this woman out.
Yes.
And she's an anti-feminist. She's a pick-me. She's a
pick-me. Yes, they love it.
Pick-me.
See, that's what black women use. Black women use pick-me.
She's a pick-me. She out here riding for this.
I do love that, though.
Pick-me.
And I've met actual pick-me's, and they are kind of sad.
I ain't no damn pick-me.
No, you ain't a pick-me.
But how about this? We have television shows dedicated to women whose only purpose and existence in life thus far was to marry a famous baseball or basketball or football player, or have a baby with a famous football or basketball or baseball player.
That's right.
Get money from this famous baseball, basketball player. And that is their clout in life.
Yes.
We have women whose livelihoods was to get the attention of rich men, snag them, get what they want from them, divorce them, take their money, take their babies, and now they are in reality shows.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have real jobs.
Right. No.
They don't, the only real job they quote unquote have is being a quote fashion designer, a shoe designer, a bag designer, or a quote model or something like
quote
that.
Unquote model, right.
Quote unquote. So we understand that there is a culture of women who actively prey on rich men, wealthy men, popular men to get their own fame and fortune.
Right.
And yet we can't look at a story with this woman and see that maybe she was going in that route.
Exactly. And you are so right. And I do appreciate that even though you didn't take the first step to call her out, you didn't, because you had your own concerns.
Yes.
People did start calling her out.
People did start calling her out.
They did, and they poked holes in her story.
Poked holes.
Yes.
And I remember when this story dropped, I was writing for a website at the time that didn't really tiptoe around like pop culture stuff. But me and one of the other writers, I won't forget, she texted me because it was a hot buzz topic and people started talking in the Slack chat. And, oh my goodness, and Z's, and I don't want to watch, blah, blah, blah. And she and I texted that morning. And she was like, Afiya, I don't want to say anything. And I was like, why not? And she was like, I'm afraid of what I have to say in that chat room. And I said, girl, me and you both.
Right.
And she said, I don't like the idea how we are, as women, are trying to project this image of we're strong, we can do anything we want, we can take anything, we can take any blows. But when shit like this happens, the woman is they're automatically weak and defenseless.
Right.
And oh my goodness, I had no control of the situation.
Right.
But in the same breath, you want to say that women can control everything, and we have control, and we understand, and we're strong enough to handle these things, and we're not weak-willed, because men like to say that we can't have a woman president because she's too emotional.
Right.
But then in the same breath, say something like, "Oh, well, she was so overwhelmed by the emotions that were happening in the moment that she couldn't think straight, and she couldn't, get the nerve to tell him, I don't want to do this, and get out, and blah, blah, blah." Like, how can the two beings exist in the same body?
Right. Amen. And that is the contradiction. The juxtaposition, if you will, between feminism and being a
feminine woman,
and also being a feminine woman, right? Exactly. You can be both. But,
you can be both, but I feel like in those situations, call these women out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then with her, I looked at her, and she to me was a prime example for the mere fact that I'm gonna say this shit as boldly as I'm going. Aziz Ansari is not the most traditionally handsome man.
Right. He isn't.
And he is not a Brad Pitt.
Nope.
He is not a Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's not Idris Elba. He's not any of those brothers. He's not no Bollywood actor.
He would never, I'm sorry to say this way, but Aziz Ansari will not clock people's top 50 most beautiful people in the world.
It's just not going to happen.
So I saw this woman as preying on Aziz. I'm sorry.
Right.
She preyed on him. And in the middle of her preying on Aziz and saying, I'm going to get me a cute little cherubic Indian looking goofy dude.
Right.
Aziz,
with the popular show.
Cause from a popular show, he's getting Emmys, all this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Aziz basically checked her on, I may not be the sexiest, but I'm rich enough and I'm wealthy enough and I'm popular enough for you to understand that a fuck is a fuck. Sex is sex.
Right.
I don't need you to be a girlfriend. I'm not going to take you home to my Indian mother. You're
That's
just going to be a groupie. If you're going to be a groupie, be a groupie, and we're going to do groupie things.
And own it. Feminism.
And she didn't want to go that route.
Nah.
She wanted to be serious. She didn't want him to think of her as a one-night stand. And that's what that whole shit was.
Exactly.
He told her this is a one-night stand. She went in anticipating, well, because it's Aziz and people don't like, he ain't that cute.
Right.
And here I am, this cute little white girl.
Right.
I'm going to just, wiggle my way in and be his, non-famous girlfriend or plaything or whatever who probably gets snap, paparazzi, whatever. And he basically told her, nah, we just going to smash and keep it pushing.
Right.
And then she was like, well, you know what? I'm going to say.
Exactly. I've been Me Too'd.
That, I've been Me Too'd by Aziz Ansari. And the sad part about it is that even though people did call her out, people were very divisive about this. Right. It still affected his livelihood.
Of course.
It still affected his bread. It still affected his job as a comedian. It still affected, I guarantee you, his ability to do writing for shows, or probably people even picking up his shows. Netflix and them probably were like, we don't know. Because look how long it went from that happening to him actually getting that special on Netflix.
That's
it was quite a minute.
And we're season 3 of Master of None. What happened
Where
to
did
it?
that go?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Lena Rife had to move on.
When are we gonna hold women like that accountable? You know what I mean? And I feel like, because I started thinking about it in my head, and I was like, it's one thing when you have women like the accuser who came out against Brett Kavanaugh with the whole Supreme Court justice.
Right.
I wouldn't victim blame her because at this point, this woman had nothing to lose. Right. You know what I mean? And she also had nothing to gain in that. And Brett Kavanaugh at this point also had nothing to lose either, because her coming out saying that here he was as a frat boy doing this shit to me, and I never spoke out about it. I wouldn't want somebody with that frat boy mentality, which he clearly has not changed over the last how many decades or whatever the case may be. She's like, I still see semblance. I still see things like that. I don't want someone like that going in to make decisions, permanent, lifelong decisions about women's bodies, in the United States. She came out, she wasn't gonna get, maybe she could, but it wasn't like she came out trying to get a book deal. She wasn't coming out trying to get on a talk show. The woman barely even wanted her face on TV. You see what I'm saying?
Forward to stop that from going
public or whatever the case may be, because it came out in an article first, and then they were like, all right, well, if she then come out, and it took her a minute to come out. So in situations like that, of course, I am more liable to feel like, yes, I believe her. But I also feel, in that regard, that's one scenario. But I then feel like as a feminist, and I'm not saying that I am a feminist or that I'm a womanist. I don't know where I stand in that. I do know I'm not a pick-me. But I feel like as a woman who was speaking out about other women, feminists wouldn't call me a feminist. Right. Yeah. I feel like we're supposed to be equal, right? Like we're supposed to be thinking, we shouldn't just immediately believe the man, we should also think about the woman. Right. And so another situation I started talking about was the Chris Brown and Rihanna situation. Mind you, I'm talking to myself about this shit like it's 6 o'clock. Right. And I said, when Chris Brown and Rihanna got into their post-Grammy or Grammy party fight, everyone was like, Chris Brown's shit. He's trash. But people like myself, and as Dave Chappelle pointed out in his comedy sketch, was like, what did she do? He's like, I'll be the person to say, what did she do? Right? And I said, well, what did she do? Like,
he was biting her. That's defensive.
Because I'm thinking, yes, I'm not negating that there are irrational, abusive ass men out there who just for the whim smack a woman.
Right.
Hence why I'm bringing it back to the hitting that I talked about at the beginning of the show. But what did she say to and my question is being very humble and being just very curious. What did she say or do to trigger him?